Have you ever wondered if God truly spoke today, what would he say? Not the eloquent words echoing from grand pulpits or revival tents, not the gentle reassurances whispered over a world unraveling by the hour, but the kind of words that make you tremble, back away, or rise and change forever. I know, because I've heard them. I never thought I'd tell anyone. I swore I'd take it to my grave. But some things, once you've seen them, you can't unsee. They live in your blood, they breathe through your lungs, and they scream every night you try to forget. My name is Madison Clarke. I used to think I understood the world. I used to sit at long tables in windowless rooms with the chief engineers of the very corporations you trust every single day. I wasn't a victim. I was part of the system that built the nightmare I'm about to share with you. But I walked away. I thought I could escape. I was wrong. I wasn't born to be a voice of doubt. I'm a mother, someone who once believed in science, who believed everything could be explained through data, analysis, and solutions. But life isn't just a string of binary code. Sometimes you have to lose everything to finally see the simplest truth. I left the corporation in 2026 after a project involving artificial memory chips was leaked to the public. We called it the Silent Gate. It was a chip designed to store human memories and sync them to the cloud. I once believed it could save Alzheimer's patients, but then I witnessed a trial. A soldier who had lost his daughter in a bombing was implanted with the chip to preserve his final memory of her. After that, he lived entirely in that memory, rejecting reality, refusing to go on. We had created a prison made of remembrance, and we called it progress. I couldn't take it anymore. I left the city, moved to Austin, lived quietly, and started working as a tech ethics advisor. I thought I had shaken off the darkness. But then that day came. A small, private conference on AI ethics was held in an old church. I went there to speak, not knowing it would be the last time I would be the old Madison. On the way back, the rain poured down like the sky had been torn open by jagged streaks of lightning. I was driving over an old bridge, thinking about the speech I had just given, warning that technology has no soul unless we teach it how to love. But we didn't teach it love. We taught it to surveil, to remember, to calculate, and to manipulate. I glanced into the rearview mirror. A car with blinding headlights was speeding toward me, too fast. I tried to swerve, but it was too late. The last sound I remember was metal crushing into metal and a blinding white light swallowing everything. You think death is an ending, don't you? A door slamming shut with pain and finality. But it's not. It's a pause. A silence so terrifying, so peaceful, that you begin to fear that peace itself, as if it could swallow you whole without ever needing to chew. I was no longer in my body. I was floating, rising, looking down at the wreckage, the flashing lights, the rain-soaked scene, and my lifeless form lying still beneath the storm. I saw myself, but I felt nothing. No fear, no regret, no panic, just a cold, naked truth. But it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. And then the light came. But not like in the movies. Not the go into the light kind you always hear about. This was living light. Light with weight. Light with awareness. It didn't call my name with sound. It called with presence. I can't describe it using ordinary language because words are far too poor to capture something so infinite. I don't know how much time passed. There was no time there. Only a kind of instant knowing. I knew I had been summoned. I knew that what I was about to step into wasn't an ending. It was a revelation. And what I saw was what he told me about technology, about false salvation, about the human soul. That's why I came back. That's why I'm speaking to you now. Whether you believe me or not no longer matters. The question isn't whether you believe me. It's whether you're willing to face what you're living every single day. I didn't die to tell a story. I died to deliver a warning. And do you know what terrified me the most? It wasn't the crash. It wasn't the light. It wasn't the revelation. It was what I saw on the other side beyond the technology we're so eagerly embracing every single day. What's coming is something you can't even begin to imagine. And I'm going to tell you. I don't know how to explain that moment in words, because even my thoughts weren't thoughts anymore. They were waves of knowing, surging through me like the heartbeat of the universe itself, pulsing straight through my being. It was an intuition without origin, a knowing beyond language. I was no longer Madison. I was something lighter than the wind, yet denser than light, a soul drifting in the current of truth. I saw myself hovering high above, looking down at the broken body below. Everything had slowed, like a film stretched out by sorrow. I saw my face, blood trailing down my left cheek, one eye half open as if I were just taking a short nap. But I knew this sleep was unlike any I had ever known. Around me was a scene of chaos, flashing lights, ambulances, sirens, voices calling out commands, the harsh rhythm of CPR. It all unfolded like a cold, mechanical symphony. And yet, strangely, I felt no pain, no fear, only a profound clarity, a realization that I was outside of what I had always called me. One of the paramedics leaned down, and I saw him place his hand gently on my forehead and whisper something. I didn't hear it with my ears, but I understood. He said, "May God guide her soul." That sentence, those few words, opened a sliver of light in the thick darkness around me. And then, everything disappeared. I didn't fall, but I was no longer there. I didn't go through a tunnel like so many describe. Instead, I dissolved. I melted into a light that was drawing closer with every moment. But it wasn't a blinding light. It was gentle, like the first warmth of early winter brushing against your skin. This light didn't shine from a single source. It was everywhere. It breathed, and it could feel me. I want to call it light, but this light wasn't just something to see. It was something to know, something that made you remember what your soul had always known. Even if you've never studied a thing about the soul, you would recognize it instantly. That light was home. A home you've never stepped into, yet so deeply familiar that your heart trembles the moment it touches it. I stood in that space, or more accurately, I floated within it. I had no limbs, yet I could feel movement. I had no mouth, yet something in me wanted to cry out, "Where am I?" And then something beyond reason happened. The moment the question formed, the answer was already there. You are being called. There was no sound, no voice, yet every cell of my existence heard it like a bell ringing through eternity. I turned around. The light grew deeper, denser, like a vast curtain being drawn open between two realms of reality. And within that light, there was a figure. At first, I saw only a thickened presence, a denser glow within the glow. But the longer I looked, the more I began to understand. He didn't walk towards me. He was everywhere, yet somehow it felt as though he was gazing straight into the deepest part of me. I knew it was him, though I had never met him. I knew, not because of a shape or a voice, but because I felt known. Known in a way no data could ever capture. It was a feeling of being completely exposed. There was nowhere left to hide, no barrier between me and the one who was seeing me. He wasn't judging me, yet every shameful part of me lit up as if under a cosmic microscope. And still, I was loved, unconditionally, without a transaction, without expectation. He saw the whole truth, every corner of it, and chose to love anyway. That was the first time I understood what grace truly meant. Not being forgiven because I deserved it, but being forgiven so I could begin again. I wanted to ask 1,000 things. I wanted to scream, "Why am I here? I've messed up too much. Can I even go back?" But no question needed to be spoken, because he already knew. I didn't bring you here to end. I brought you here to begin. Once again, no words were spoken aloud, yet every meaning pierced straight into my soul, like light passing through glass. I don't know how I would have stayed standing if I still had legs, because that love was too immense. It melted me and undid me all at once. It was the kind of love that makes you want to fall to your knees and weep, but there were no knees, no tears. He reached out his hand, and the moment I touched it, or maybe just thought of touching it, we were somewhere else. A road from the world I once knew. But everything was different. I was being led through a world that looked like the present, but deep in my soul, I knew it was a future not yet come. A chapter in human history that we were all moving toward without even realizing it. Look closely, Madison. That voice didn't come from a mouth. It came from the very light around me, making the air itself tremble, and every cell in me bowed in instant obedience. You need to see this to awaken those still sleeping in the false light. I didn't understand right away, but I would, because what I was about to witness would forever change the way humanity sees technology, salvation, and their very own souls. The first vision he showed me looked like an ordinary city, until I noticed the light glowing from beneath each person's skin. And when I asked, "Is that the mark?" he didn't answer. Not yet. As the light softened, I realized I was standing in the middle of a familiar street. It looked like any ordinary city in the real world, nothing special at all. But it was that very normalcy that unsettled me. Everything functioned as it always had, yet nothing felt the same. People moved without rush, without boredom, without frustration. Their eyes were hollow yet strangely content, as if every emotion had been pre-programmed to eliminate anything unnecessary. I watched a woman walk into a cafe. She didn't reach for a wallet or a phone. She simply raised her hand toward a small device. A soft flicker of light glowed beneath the skin on the back of her hand, like a tiny spark, and then the machine chimed gently. Transaction complete. The woman smiled, nodded politely, and walked away. I turned to the one standing beside me and asked, "Is that the mark?" He didn't answer right away. The light around him seemed to pause, just for a moment, as if it were searching my heart, not weighing the question I had just spoken. Then he said, "Keep watching." And I knew the answer wouldn't come in words. It would come in truth. The scene shifted. I saw that the ads lining the streets were no longer billboards, but glass panels that could read emotions. I watched as a child cried after having a toy snatched away, and almost instantly, the nearest screen lit up with a children's entertainment program. The mother looked surprised, but didn't react. She placed her hand on a nearby sensor post, and the screen instantly changed to a shopping interface. The child fell silent, the cries replaced by soft, soothing music. I saw churches with sleek, modern domes, but no priests. AI was delivering the sermons now. And those sermons never spoke of sin, never mentioned holiness, just phrases like freedom, self-development, and optimized choices. People sat in perfect rows, eyes locked on the screens. Their faces were calm, almost serene, like every trace of doubt had been scrubbed clean. I saw a newborn being brought by its parents to a wellness center. A chip was implanted in the soft flesh of the baby's cheek. The parents embraced their child and wept with joy, believing their baby would never get sick, never go missing, always be connected, safe, forever. And then I saw an elderly person, alone, with no one left to care for them. With a single tap on the device on their wrist, they could summon food, medication, or assistance. No one needed to come close. No one needed to listen. No one needed to love them anymore. I turned to him, and this time I didn't ask. I understood this wasn't the mark. This was the invitation. The real mark doesn't begin with a symbol. It begins with a small compromise. A quiet nod in the name of convenience. The moments we close our eyes and say, "Everyone's doing it." The times we convince ourselves it's just a tool, just assistance, just a phase of transformation. He looked at me, and in his gaze I saw millions of souls drifting in darkness, completely unaware of when they had left the light. He said, "Many believe they're in control of their lives. But in truth, life is being rewritten line by things they no longer understand. Technology isn't evil. Technology is a blade. One may use it to cut bread or to stab a soul in the back. The soul still chooses." I wanted to turn away because what I saw next hurt more than death itself. I saw ceremonies for registering new citizens, where each person had to choose, either accept the implantation of a biosystem or lose their citizenship, their ability to buy, travel, study, or receive medical care. They called it the next step of humanity. They called it the redefinition of freedom. I saw a teenager standing in the center of the city, fists clenched, refusing the chip. He cried out, "I don't want this. I don't belong to this. And then I saw the security officers approach. They wore warm smiles, used calming words, like teachers speaking to autistic children. There was no violence, no threats, just a few carefully chosen words. And the boy nodded. I saw settlements far from the city centers, places for those who refused compliance. They were labeled as neurodivergent, threats to social harmony. They were isolated, monitored, and when they disappeared, no one asked why. I turned to him, tears falling, even though I no longer had physical eyes. And I said, "Why does no one see this? Why does no one speak up? Why does the world agree?" He didn't rebuke me. He simply said, "Because they don't think it's surrender. They believe it's progress. The enemy doesn't come with swords and spears. It comes wrapped in convenience, speaking the language of care and protection." I choked up, remembering all the times I had signed off on biotech projects, the times I'd told my colleagues this was a humanitarian future, the times I smiled at my daughter and said, "Don't be afraid of AI, it'll help you learn faster." Now I understood. I hadn't been helping her learn. I had been teaching her dependence. He reached out his hand and touched the space before us, and suddenly a display appeared, a live counter. The rate of biointegration is rising by the day, by the hour, by the minute. I saw the growth curve, but it wasn't data anymore. Not the kind I once proudly presented at tech conferences. It was a bloodline, a blade, driving straight into the heart of humanity. I blurted out, "Can anyone stop this?" And he said, "I didn't create you to be a spectator, Madison." That sentence pierced through me like fire through steel. I felt small, powerless, but at the same time, he looked at me and said, "You must tell what you've seen. Not to scare, not for fame, but if even one soul wakes up, then tonight one less soul will be lost." I looked down at the city beneath my feet, its flickering lights like candles quivering in the breath of the wind, like millions of lives asleep, believing they are awake. And in that moment, I knew my mission had begun. He hadn't finished the revelation, he was only beginning. Because after that, he brought me to the one place I didn't dare enter, the place I believed held no life. But it was there I saw him again. Just when I thought I had reached the edge of everything, the light around him changed once more. It was no longer gentle. It began to vibrate, as if preparing to open a deeper layer of reality, a dimension not everyone is allowed to enter. He looked at me one last time before the space around us twisted inward, like an invisible whirlpool, pulling me with it, like a single sheet of paper caught in the ocean of consciousness. I opened my eyes, not with my eyes, but with something I never knew I had, a kind of awareness that touched the space around me, and I instantly knew what it was. I was in a city with no lights, no sirens, no people. Everything was wrapped in a silence so haunting, it wasn't like the stillness of midnight, it was the silence of something that had died long ago, but hadn't yet been buried. I walked among buildings long abandoned, not because of war, not because of disaster, but because they were no longer needed. On every wall, projections of memories played, repeating over and over like machines. I saw a mother playing with her child in a park, but their faces never changed. Their movements never shifted. And then I realized, these weren't real memories. They were stored moments replayed like a video looped forever. This was the place for those who chose to preserve false happiness to avoid real pain. This was the kingdom of those who had rejected life. I saw thousands of souls wandering, no bodies, no voices, just faint trails of light. They had once been people, like me, like you. They had once loved, feared, and wept, but at some point they signed an agreement, trading away their lives for everlasting peace. Peace in memory, peace in emotion, peace in illusion. No pain, no surprise, no freedom. I wanted to scream, but no one could hear, because in this place, voices were gone. Here, silence had become eternal. I asked him, "Where is this place?" And he answered, "This is where the souls go who chose neither the light nor the darkness. They chose to stop halfway. They chose to stand outside every decision, out of fear of consequence. And in doing so, they vanished from both choice and existence. I began to tremble, not out of fear, but because I saw a part of myself in them, a part that had once wanted to live inside a beautiful memory, a part that had once wanted to step out of the game, worn down by the weight of it all. And that realization shook me, because if I hadn't been brought here, if I hadn't been shown this, I would have been one of them. The scene shifted again, and this time I found myself standing in a place my heart recognized before my mind could catch up. It was the place where I had lost him, the battlefield, where my husband gave his life. I saw a field stained deep red, not from flowers, but from the earth soaked in blood. I saw thousands of military backpacks scattered across the ground, like silent markers of promises never kept. I knew I wasn't strong enough to face this place, but still, he led me in, as if to show me that what I had always been running from wasn't death, but the refusal to love. And then I saw him. Not as in the photographs, not as in my memories, but him, truly him. A soul, with eyes that still knew how to speak, with hands I once held and never truly let go. I didn't ask why, because I knew this was a gift from the one who had led me through the entire journey. I just looked at him and said, "I'm sorry for letting the pain make me forget the love." He smiled and said, "Madison, you never forgot. You were just trying to survive. But I want you to live, love again, forgive again, even when the loss still burns in your heart." I fell into his arms, and in that moment, I knew I was no longer a broken soul. I was part of something greater. I was a survivor, not just to endure, but to testify. He said one last thing to me before he left, something I will never forget. "Madison, you must not keep this truth to yourself. You were shown so others might awaken. You were forgiven so others might be set free. You were loved so they might remember they are loved too." And then he was gone, not like a fading illusion, but like a blessing dissolving gently into the air. I turned to him, and he asked, "Are you ready?" And I nodded. For the first time, not because I understood everything, but because I believed. For the first time, I didn't need proof. I just knew what was right. The space around me trembled, and I could feel my body calling me back, through labored breaths, through the rumble of machines, through the sound of my daughter holding my hand and crying. I saw myself lying there in the ICU, surrounded by wires, ventilators, and whispered prayers. My body felt heavy from the wounds, but my soul felt weightless because it had been healed. When I opened my eyes, the doctor called my name 3 times. I didn't answer right away because I was still hearing his voice in my mind, saying, "You are not returning alone. I'll go with you. Every word you speak, every dream you share, every tear you shed will have the power to awaken hearts that have been asleep for far too long." I lay there in the stillness of the hospital night, no overhead lights, just a small glow from the window, and I knew I would live, but not as before, not blindly, not silently, not in fear. I knew not everyone would believe this story, but I no longer needed them to believe. I only needed them to listen just once and take a second look at the world they think they know. Because what I saw in cities without voices, in churches without prayer, in families that no longer touched, it's already happening, right now. With every passing day, every breath, every moment, we accept without questioning every new convenience that quietly pulls us farther from who we truly are. But what he said to me just before I fully left the light was the greatest awakening of all. And it's the reason I haven't been able to sit still for even 1 minute since I came back. I don't remember the exact moment my soul slipped from the light back into my body. I only know that returning wasn't a fall, it was a compression. Like the entire universe being forced into a small, narrow cage, and I was that cage. The first feeling wasn't pain, it was resistance. As if the body didn't want to receive the soul that had been changed, and the soul didn't want to return to a body that had already been broken. The first breath hit my chest like a hammer. Not like life returning, but like being struck awake. My heart didn't beat just to survive. It beat for something greater, for the fear of losing what I had just seen, just known, just touched. I didn't want to open my eyes, afraid it had all been an illusion. Afraid that if I woke up and it was gone, I wouldn't survive it a second time. But then I heard my daughter's voice, a real voice, shaking, sobbing, holding my hand and whispering, "Mom, if you can hear me, please come back." I opened my eyes because of that voice, not the doctors, not the machines, but the raw, sacred love of a child calling out to her mother. I opened my eyes, and though the hospital lights couldn't compare to the light I had seen, they were still the light of life. He was no longer beside me, but I knew he was within me now, in every heartbeat, in every cell, struggling to heal, in every pounding pain that reminded me I was still alive, and I was alive for a reason. The days that followed were a long recovery, like giving birth in reverse. I had to relearn how to breathe, how to swallow, how to move my fingers. But the hardest part wasn't the physical movement, it was holding on to what I had seen. Holding on to the memory without letting it fade under hospital lights, without letting it blur beneath the language of science, the doubt of loved ones, and the hollow reassurances of modern medicine. They asked me if I saw anything while I was in the coma. I nodded. They smiled and said I was lucky. I wanted to say, no, I wasn't lucky. I was chosen. I didn't escape death. I was sent back. But I knew they wouldn't understand, so I stayed quiet. Not out of fear, but because I was still learning how to tell this story in a way that wouldn't be dismissed. When I was finally able to speak, when I could write again, I began to record everything. Every image, every word, every scene. Every moment I wanted to turn away, but wasn't allowed. Every moment I wanted to stay, but I was told I had to leave. I didn't write to remember. I wrote because I didn't want the world to forget. I began speaking with people who once doubted me, people who used to be like I was, people who believed technology was the savior, people who thought the soul was just a byproduct of the brain. I told them I've been there. I helped build the very things that, now, I see are quietly dismantling the human soul step by step, as softly as a lullaby. I went everywhere, to places that invited me, and to places that didn't. I told them my story not to convince, but to plant a seed of doubt right in the middle of their artificial peace. I told them about the city without voices, the churches without prayer, and the people living inside memories. They were programmed, yet believed they were free. I told them the mark doesn't arrive with a roar. It comes in sweet silence, through advertising, through convenience, through the promise that you'll never be alone again. But loneliness isn't the worst thing. Forgetting that you were once free, that is the real death. I write books not to sell, but so no one can say they were never warned. I speak on podcasts not for fame, but so someone, somewhere, scrolling past one line, might suddenly remember who they used to be. I go to church not to hear sermons, but to give thanks that I still get to believe, still get to speak, still get to live. I'm no longer a tech expert, no longer just a widow, a fragile single mother. I am a witness, not to death, but to a life deeper and clearer than anything we've ever taught each other about what it means to live. I used to think the worst thing was losing the one you love. Then I thought the worst thing was being forgotten by the world. Then I thought the worst thing was dying. But no, the worst thing is being alive and not knowing why. Now I know, and the only thing I fear is staying silent in the face of truth. I'm not telling this story so that anyone will pity me or admire me. I'm not telling it to make you believe me. I'm telling it because I was sent to speak the truth we've been trying so hard not to hear. We are living amid gentle knocking from something ancient, something sacred, something real. But we're busy, we're tired, we're connected, we're updated, and we are losing the one thing that sets us apart from the machines, our soul. But there was one last thing he told me right before our final goodbye, and it wasn't for me, it was for you watching this video. Before I left the light completely, he looked at me not with solemnity, not with a voice of command, but with a sorrowful gaze, a look that pierced even the parts of me I was too afraid to speak aloud. He said, "Madison, don't try to save the whole world. You weren't sent to do that. You were sent to speak to one person, just one. If that one awakens, the world will begin to change. One person, one word, one moment of touching the truth is enough. If you try to speak to the crowd, you'll be swallowed by the noise. But if you seek the one, you will be guided." I asked, "How will I know who that person is?" And he didn't answer with words. He simply turned away, and the light began to close, not like a door slamming shut, but like a mist slowly dissolving between eternity and reality. And in that moment, I understood the answer wasn't there. It's here. It's in the eyes of the one reading these words right now or watching this screen. I'm not a prophet. I'm not an angel. I'm just someone who once got it wrong, who once believed the wrong things, who once signed her name to things she didn't fully understand. And I paid the price not with death, but with resurrection. And resurrection hurts more because it demands that you look straight at yourself. No masks, no escape, no excuses. If you're hearing this, it's not because you have time to spare. It's not because you're curious. It's because something deep inside you has just been touched. Some part of you has gone quiet, is trembling, is whispering, "Maybe this is meant for me." I don't need you to believe in me. I don't need you to believe what I saw. I just need you to believe one thing. You still have a soul, and it's still waiting for you to come back to it. This world doesn't need more information. It's not lacking data. It's not lacking technology. It's not lacking solutions. What this world is lacking is people who know who they are and live like it matters. I used to think the most important thing was not getting hurt, not getting lost, not losing the ones you love. But then I realized the most important thing is not losing yourself. Even when you're smiling, even when you're successful, even when you're loved. I saw a world where people smile but no longer know why, where love is carried out by programmed commands, where people are slowly dying all while believing they're living fully. I saw churches empty, prayers echoing from speakers, not hearts. I saw children learning to love through chatbots. I saw the elderly dying in silence because everyone believed they were being cared for. I've seen that world, and I came back to warn you, not with threats, but with a whisper. Because I know no one can be forced to awaken. They can only be called by name, and then choose for themselves. And now, I'm calling you. Not the name people use in the world, but your real name, the name of your soul, the part of you that still remembers the light. I don't know who you are. I don't know your age. I don't know where you live. But if you've made it this far, if you've listened, if you've read these words, then you are the one I was sent to find, the one I carried this long story through life and death to reach. There isn't much time left, not because the end of the world is coming, not because war is about to break out, but because with each passing day, you're getting used to the dark. You're starting to believe the silence of your soul is normal. You're starting to think forgetting how to truly love is no big deal. I'm not asking if you follow a religion. I don't care whether you believe in God or not. What I care about is this. Are you living truthfully? When you look at the people you love, do you see them? When you look in the mirror, do you still recognize your own eyes? Because one day, very soon, you will have to answer a question, not from me, not from society, but from your soul. Who did you become with the time you were given here? None of us is guaranteed tomorrow, but all of us have been given today, not to delay, but to begin. I have seen the light, and I have also seen the darkness. But the most terrifying thing isn't the darkness. It's believing you're standing in the light when you've already been swallowed by the dark without even realizing it. So if you're still hearing me, if your heart is still aching, if there's something inside you that wants to cry, even though you don't know why, please don't push it away. That is your soul calling your name. Listen, don't delay. Don't wait for another miracle. Don't wait until loss finally makes you want to truly live. Because you don't have to die to be reborn. You just have to remember you were once light, and you can still choose to come back. My name is Madison Clarke. I died and was taken to see a truth not everyone wants to hear. I was brought back to tell it, not so you would believe me, but so you would remember. Because what's coming isn't a mark on your hand or your forehead. It's the gradual fading of the voice inside you, the one that knows what's real and what's not. If you can still hear that voice, protect it at all costs. Follow it, even if it leads you into loneliness, because that voice is what will save you. No one is coming to rescue you because you've had the key in your hand all along. And if you're still here, maybe it's not by accident. Maybe you are the one I was sent to find. If something in this video touched you, a memory, a question, a pain you haven't yet named, leave a comment. It doesn't have to be long, just one line. I'm still awakening. Who knows, maybe those words will awaken someone else who's reading. And if you believe the world needs more stories like this, not to entertain, but to help us remember what we've forgotten, then follow the channel. Because we're not walking this path alone. We're being called one by one, and the journey is only just beginning.